Alright, welcome back. This is Weblan. I want us to look at equivalent fractions. Equivalent fractions. What do we mean by equivalent fractions? In simple terms, equivalent fractions are two or more different fractions which are of the same value. So if we have two fractions and they have the same value, we say these fractions are equivalent. We use multiplication or division to determine the equivalent fractions. Let me give you an example. The first example I have, let me say this is number 1 over 2. I have this fraction 1 over 2. Let's determine a number of fractions which are equivalent to 1 over 2. We said we use multiplication or division. In this case, for 1 over 2, we use multiplication. Let's multiply 1 over 2, the numerator and the denominator, by a single number. What number can we use? We can start with 2, multiply by 2, the numerator, multiply by 2, the denominator. What fraction do we have? 1 multiplied by 2, we get 2, and then 2 multiplied by 2, we get 4. So 1 over 2 is equivalent to 2 over 4. And then another one, let's multiply by 10 and 10, right? Multiplying by 10, 1 multiplied by 10, we get 10, and then 2 multiplied by 10, we get 20. Here is another fraction which is equivalent to 1 over 2. Let me move this. Perfect. Alright, let's look for another equivalent fraction, another fraction which is equivalent to 1 over 2. Let's multiply this time by, we can multiply by 6, ne? Alright, let's multiply by 6 and multiply by 6, both the numerator and the denominator. What do we get? 1 multiplied by 6 is a 6, and then 2 multiplied by 6 is a 12. So we have 4 fractions which are equivalent to each other here. We have 1 over 2 is equivalent to 2 over 4, is equivalent to 10 over 20, is equivalent to 6 over 12. All these fractions are equal to each other. And then let me give you a second example. Alright, what fraction can I give you here? Let me say 20 over 50. 20 over 50. That's my second fraction. Now, for this one, I want us to use division, right? Let me start with dividing by, divide by what? By 10. All right. If I divide both the numerator and denominator by 10, what do I get there? 20 divided by 10, we get 2, and then 50 divided by 10, we get 5. So 20 over 50 is equivalent to 2 over 5. And then another one, any number, to make sure you divide by a number which is a factor of these two, right? If we divide by a number which is not a factor, common factor between these two, then you are going to have decimals and you are not going to get a common fraction there. Now let me divide by 5. 5 can get into both of these, ne? Now 20 divided by 5, we get 4, and then 50 divided by 5, we get a 10. This fraction is equivalent to this fraction and equivalent to this fraction. Alright, from 2 over 5 to get to this one, do you realize that we can multiply by a certain number? 2 over 5 multiplied by which number? You multiply by 2. Multiply by 2. So 2 times 2 you get a 4. 5 times 2 you get a 10. These are equivalent fractions. Alright. Now this time I want to number 3. Alright. For this one I have a fraction, and the fraction is 2 over 7, and I want to get a fraction which is equivalent to 2 over 7 but which has a denominator 49. We have many fractions which are equivalent to 2 over 7, but right now we want one which has a denominator 49. How do we determine the numerator now? Remember, we said it's either we multiply by the same number or we divide by the same number. That is multiplying the numerator and denominator by the same number. Now we have 49. To get 49, we multiplied 7 by which number? To get that number, you just say 49 divided by 7. That is 49 divided by 7, right? You get a 7 there. So that tells us that we have multiplied by 7. You see that? So it's 2 times 7, we get 14. 7 times 7, we get a 49. That's how we get that equivalent fraction. And then let me write number 4 here. For question number 4, I have the fraction 2 over 3, and I want to determine a fraction that is equivalent to this one, which has a numerator 6. Determine the denominator there. The denominator which is going to give a fraction which is equivalent to this one. Now, this time we are dealing with the numerators. We have a 2, we have a 6. We have multiplied 2 by a certain number to get a 6. What number is that? To get that number, you can just say your 6 divided by 2, right? We get a 3. So that tells us that we multiplied by 3 and we multiplied by 3 here. And what do we get there? 2 times 3 is a 6 that is given, and 3 times 3, it means the number we are looking for there is a 9. And then here is another one, number 5. We have a fraction 32 over something is equivalent to 8 over 15. Now 8 over 15 is equivalent to what fraction here? We can see that this is a bigger number, we are going to a smaller number, so we have divided, right? We have divided 32 by what number to get this? Or we can go from 8 to go to 32. So 8 is multiplied by what number to get 32, right? To get that, you can just say 32 over 8. Divide 32 by 8. What do we get? We get a 4. That is 8 times 4 is a 32. So what we are saying here is we multiply by 4, we multiply by 4. If we multiply by 4, what do we get? 8 times 4, we get a 32, and then 15 times 4, we get a 16. There it is. So we are saying 8 over 15 is equivalent to 32 over 60. This is how we deal with equivalent fractions. Remember, practice makes perfect, so practice until you are perfect.